anticipated this, Lil Scrappy was barely hanging on a few days ago. His health was fast declining, fans were saddened as family members and medical professionals braced themselves for the worst. The hip-hop community waited, even Scrappy's closest pals were afraid that the Atlanta rap icon's career was coming to an end. In a startling change of events, however, Scrappy started exhibiting symptoms of what can only be called a miraculous recovery, which even leading medical professionals found difficult to explain. Now, doctors who had made bleak prognosis were in disbelief. According to reports, one hospital insider stated, "We've never seen anything like this." Family members were shocked because they had been expecting the worst. Scrappy's mother, Mama D, believed that this was a result of divine intervention. After almost losing him, his estranged wife, Bambi, was still adjusting to the emotional roller coaster. And admirers, desperate to learn what transpired in that hospital room, they were frantically searching for answers. When Scrappy opened his eyes, what did he say? More significantly, was this a passing miracle or the start of his journey back to complete health? The hospital was so tense that a knife could easily pierce it. Lil Scrappy was lying still in his hospital bed, hooked up to machines, only a few days ago. The more hours that went by, the worse his condition got. The family had already been warned by doctors to expect the worst. The previously vivacious rapper, who was renowned for his unbridled energy and dominant stage presence, was now battling for his life, and it didn't seem like he would prevail. Mama D was distraught. Since Scrappy's admission, she hadn't left the hospital, blaming everyone she could, pacing the hallways and muttering prayers. This shouldn't have occurred. She cried out in exasperation, "My son is a fighter, and I refuse to believe he's not going to pull through." Even though she was more restrained, Bambi had a complex response of her own. Even while she still had feelings for Scrappy, their tumultuous relationship had made things challenging. There were rumors that she was under pressure from her relatives to visit the hospital, even though she didn't want to. But her heart ached when she saw him, fragile, motionless, and exposed. According to reports, she said to close pals, "I don't care what we've been through. I just want him to be okay." Then the unimaginable occurred. The smallest movement was the first, hardly perceptible. Although she rejected it, one of the nurses believed she saw Scrappy's fingers twitch, most likely merely a reflex. She wasn't the only one who noticed, though, since it happened again. One nurse whispered to the other, "Did you see that?" Scrappy's eyes flickered before anyone could comprehend what was happening. For a moment only, but then again, then in a flash that shook the whole room. His eyes cracked open. The machines began to beep louder. Nurses hurried to his side and summoned the physicians. They were waking up the man they had pretty much given up on. Mama D looked up from where she had been sitting quietly in the corner, holding her head in her hands. She gasped, barely raising her voice above a whisper, "Scrappy?" Scrappy opened his mouth. Nothing was said. His face was pinched with confusion as his eyes raced about the room. As they rushed in, the physicians asked questions and checked his vitals. Were they audible to him? Was he aware of his location? At last he said something. Despite his scratchy voice, he said, "Mama," it only took that one word. Mama D sobbed and ran to his side, holding his hand. She exclaimed, "Oh baby, you scared me half to death." Tears were streaming down Bambi's cheeks, where she had been standing motionless by the doorway. For the first time in her life, she was unable to speak, even though she wanted to. The physicians were taken aback. The body of Scrappy has been shutting down. They were bracing themselves for the worst, and yet, here he was, conscious, alert, and yelling for his mother. One of the attending physicians, Dr. Reynolds, shook his head in shock. "This is incredible," he whispered to himself. "We must start testing right away. We don't see something like this very often." News got around fast. Feeling overburdened, a nurse texted a friend. The world learned that Lil Scrappy was awake in a matter of minutes. Cheers broke out from supporters outside the hospital who were praying and holding signs. Social media went wild. Scrappy just woke up. Everyone, this is a miracle. Prayers were effective. Scrappy is back. I urgently need an update. Is he speaking? Is he all right? Things were still brittle inside the hospital room. Although he was weak, Scrappy was awake. His muscles hardly moved as he tried to move. He glanced around, trying to piece together what had transpired. He said, where am I? Mama D softly brushed his hair and said, you're in the hospital, baby, you've been rather ill. However, you will be all right. Scrappy looked over at Bambi. Silence for a minute. Love, hurt, remorse, and relief were all mixed together between them. Scrappy finally forced a weary smile. Didn't think I'd see you here, Bambi chuckled unsteadily. Yeah, well, I couldn't stay away. It was a moment of power. However, the inquiries were only getting started. Why had this change been so drastic? Would his health keep getting better? More significantly, was there more going on than people were acknowledging? The whole atmosphere in the hospital changed when Lil Scrappy opened his eyes. There seemed to be a tiny release of the tension that had been looming like a black cloud. Because no one understood what this meant for Scrappy's long-term health. While he was awake, was there a brief glimmer of hope before another disastrous turn, or was this the start of a real recovery? The doctors didn't spend any time. The medical staff got to work within minutes. Vitals, cognitive testing, and reflex tests were all part of the hectic schedule. Machines were adjusted by nurses. Physicians muttered to one another. Their expressions were a mix of wonder and trepidation. The lead doctor, Dr. Reynolds, was standing by Scrappy's bedside, staring at the monitor. He scowled. He murmured, "This ... doesn't make sense." At last, Mama D's head snapped up. What do you mean that it's illogical? My infant is awake. Isn't that a blessing? Dr. Reynolds paused. Mrs. D's condition was critical only 24 hours ago. His organs were starting to fail. Treatment was not having the desired effect on him. This level of improvement was unexpected. Not this quickly, anyhow. Weak but awake, Scrappy managed a tiny smile. Guess I'm full of surprises, he spoke in a raspy, dry voice. After remaining quiet since he first woke up, Bambi eventually spoke up. Her voice was quiet as she paused. Scrap ... Do you remember? What happened? Scrappy let out a breath, attempting to remember. Last thing I remember, I wasn't feeling right ... Felt dizzy ... Sick. And then ... Nothing. There was silence in the room. Mama D's hands tightened around his. Something more profound gleamed in Bambi's eyes. Guilt? Scrappy took note. Despite his weakness, he was not blind. He gave her a direct glance. I don't know what you know, do you not? Bambi started to answer, but Dr. Reynolds interrupted her. Briefly, we shouldn't put too much pressure on him at this time. The fact that he is stable and alert is crucial. Everything else will have time. However, the mistrust had already been sown. There was more to the tale, and Scrappy sensed it. The news media had completely reported on Scrappy's remarkable awakening outside the hospital. With cameras flashing and microphones pressed into the faces of anyone who might have information, reporters crowded the door. Breaking, is it really a miracle that Lil Scrappy wakes up? Experts comment on the startling comeback of the rapper. Fans rejoice, disregarding the odds. Scrappy, what comes next? If Scrappy makes it through this, he better drop an album about it, was the trending sentiment on social media. He was ruled out by doctors, but now he's back. God is good, there's something off about this. We require specifics. There were theories everywhere. He had been misdiagnosed, according to some. Others claimed that a higher power had stepped in, and some ... believed the tale was far from finished. Mama D wasn't having any of it inside. His homecoming was already being planned by her. She stroked his hair and said, "We're going to get you out of here soon, baby. Mama has you covered." As usual, Scrappy was appreciative. His thoughts, however, was not calm. His gaze returned to Bambi, their relationship become more tense. What is it you're not telling me? He spoke in a forceful yet gruff voice. Bambi glanced at Scrappy and then back at Mama D. She parted her lips. I closed it one more. At last, she muttered, "Scrap, I didn't believe you would make it." None of us did. Scrappy remained unflinching. Yes, and she paused. A few things took place. Things you're unaware of. Mama D's eyes got big. Girl, what are you talking about? Bambi appeared conflicted. Maybe now's not the time. The beep on Scrappy's heart monitor accelerated. He was growing impatient. No, I deserve to know the truth, even if I had to fight my way back. Thus, begin speaking. However, a knock on the door interrupted Bambi before she could say anything. A nervous-looking nurse peered in. I'm sorry to interrupt, but... Someone's here to see him? Mama D scowled. Who? The nurse paused. His father. His father.